If you have a love for lavender, we've got some good tips for you today. This is Don Roberts, and he has a PhD in plant genetics and breeding from Oregon State University, so you are just the man that we need to speak to find out how we can get more beauty and fragrance from our lavender. So Don, how did you get interested in lavender and lavender oil?
My interest really started off as looking at the oils and looking at the difference between fine grade oil, cosmetic grade oil, and commercial oils of lavenders.
Well, why would you do that?
And we thought that we could produce it domestically
Instead of getting it all from France.
instead of importing it from Europe.
So Don, for the home gardener, if they were looking for a lavender that was really good in fragrance, or they were looking for something that was high ornamental value, it just looked great, didn't have to necessarily smell good, which would they pick?
Most of the plants out there make nice ornamental plants. There's very few that would produce an oil that would be considered a fine fragrance or a commercial grade lavender oil. For example, this plant here is a nice oil producing plant. It has very fine fragrance. It's similar to the original French perfume grade oil.
And it looks nice too.
Right.
Yeah.
They're both good. Ornamentals would like this one here because of its long stem, and that would be a good ornamental plant because of its deep blue color. So most of your oil producing plants make good ornamental, but very few of the ornamental makes good oil producing plants.
So for oil, I would want to pick.
Something like Buena Vista or Sachet.
All right. A lot of people think lavenders are finicky. Is that true?
That's not true. Lavenders don't like to be babied. The least input you can put into soil amendments, the better. Very little fertilizer, very well-drained soil is important, and very small organic matter.
Okay, so which one would you suggest for just about anywhere?
Buena Vista, I think, because it performs well in this country and most areas of the United States. It's cold tolerant, drought tolerant, and it does not like to be babied.
All right, well, I understand that lavender grows in your family. So your
Yes.
daughter is going to give me some tips on pruning?
Yes. We've been asked the question frequently, how do you keep the lavender flowering all year? And one way to do it is choose the right variety, and the next way is pruning it correctly through the summer. And she's going to illustrate how you should prune it in the spring and how you should prune it in the fall for the next year's growth.
I'm going to go find her over by the lavender stand. Thanks, Dawn. Dawn's daughter, Rhonda Johnson, has all sorts of uses for lavender.
At Lavender Lake Farms, we take the flower cuttings and we'll hang them upside down and dry them and use those for sachets and floral designs. We also distill for oils and waters.
If I want to do that at home, maybe just make some lavender water, how do I do that?
Oh, you would take the plant, when you take your cutting, you'll take the leaves and a little bit of the flower and boil that on the stovetop.
You know, your dad was pretty humble back there, but he's been working with lavender for a really long time.
Yes, he has. The plants that we're growing, the Buena Vista at Lavender Lake Farms, it took him over 15 years to develop that plant.
And well worth it, because now you can grow it all over the country.
That's correct.
Wonderful. All right, so if I'm going to use lavender in crafts, I'm going to need to cut it. If I don't cut it back, what happens?
Well, if you don't cut it back, it won't flower the following year and you won't have a nicely shaped plant.
All right, so there's a couple of tips that you can give me on how to cut it properly?
Yes, you'll want to go to the base of the floral stem and make your cutting about the first leaf and right at the node of the first leaf.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, that's easy enough. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Rhonda. And